Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I feel like an imposter because I have never been to journalism school. I've learned to report stories out of necessity. I grew up in a time of war. I emigrated here due to the war in El Salvador. And so my story really is about the need to empower yourself to tell your story. So I want to start by telling you a little story about my own Canadianization. I married a British guy who's wonderful and very understanding over there. And I tell you this because when we first got married, we were both very young and very idealistic, and we struggled for many years, and tenting with two kids is part of idealism, I believe. And when we first bought our first home, it was such a big deal. It was, wow, we're homeowners. And we wanted to go camping like we love to do, but we couldn't leave the house alone. It's a house, it's our first home. So we called my mother and I said, Mom, would you house sit for us? She says, house sit? Sure. So she shows up to our house and we get in our car and we go off to the Pinery back in Ontario. She goes to the market and that's what she does. She meets people. At the market, she meets this family who just came into town, and they had a relative who was supposed to put them over for the night, but they can't get in touch with them. The phone's out of service, they had no place to be, and there's this family with 3 little kids, no home. My mom says, "You're in luck, I have a house over here." So anyway, so she takes him home, and we're on our way to, the weather is terrible, it's raining, and I looked at my husband and I said, what are we doing? It's terrible weather. We're going camping. We just bought this home. It's great. And he looks at me and says, you're right. Let's go home. So we drive back home. And as we pull into the driveway, there is another car sitting there. And he looks at me and says, your mother has company. And I said, yeah, she probably has company. Walk into the house, this woman runs to me. She says, thank you so much. We slept in your bed. It was great. Now, I'm not telling you this story so that you go out there and rescue every homeless person you see, although it would be really nice if you did. But I tell you this story because a lot of the times the conceptions we have about each other, about our level of ability to include others, are way beyond that boundary that we're sometimes quite comfortably able to cross. And that's where my show begins. I really did this as an exploration, as a way for me to sort of tap into the fabric of other Canadians, their stories. Who are they? And what are we together? What do we form when we come together and we believe that there is something, some things are sacred. And we reclaim that idealism that, justice, human dignity are things that ought to be valued, that need to be fought for, that should be defended. And that something that is true should be true no matter where. If peace is a good thing, then it's good to have peace everywhere in the world. Then war is a bad thing. So having that discussion, understanding the economic system that drives the war that divides so many of us, and all these ideas that, I have nothing in common with them. How, this idea that we can challenge those views that we've heard, sometimes we hold them so close to ourselves, and then when we question them, we realize that, I do that because my parents did that, and my uncle does that, and so that's why I do what I do. But then, when we open ourselves and allow ourselves to be vulnerable, and it takes courage, we discover a new world that is far more dynamic, a world that really offers so much more, and that we've been denying ourselves that opportunity. So my show really is about community. It's about community building, and all the interviews that we do are around community issues, are around local issues that connect us, and putting those dots together, bringing people, telling it through the story of people, those who are impacted, who is profiting from this, who is paying for this, and how do we stop it? How do we play a role in this? And so one of the things that I did is I approached my program coordinator. I said, we have all this extra time, and a lot of the overnight loops, are pre-recorded shows. Why can't we do something live? And she said, well, who's going to do it? I said, well, I'll do one night. And sometimes you get so excited you don't think ahead. I have to be at work the next day. But so she said, sure, you can take it on. And so we sent out a call. And I showed up that night and I thought, I hope someone shows up. And we call this show Exile from Mediocrity. And there's a reason why we call it that. We want to break free. We want to break free from all those things that divide us, from all those isms. The idea that people at a certain stage in their life can contribute this, young people can do that, all those things, and break all the rules. And that's exactly what we do. We get together at 12 midnight, and everyone's welcome to come. We get all kinds of new people. Some programmers only had their orientation, and we get them in, we show them the ropes, we teach them how to use the board, we give them skills so they can go out there and do their own interviews, and we just have fun. And our goal is that through this interaction, through this interconnection of what we all bring to the table, we can create theater, we can create news, we can create music, we can create the kind of media that we want to see. A lot of people say, well, I just tune out because I don't like what I'm hearing. Well, come and make what you want to hear. Be that media, be that change. But I think media, for me, radio is one venue. For others, writing. We've seen how Linda has really shown us that having that voice empowers. And you can't empower others because it sort of signifies that you have the power to help them. You have to open the medium so they can let their voices shine through, so we can hear those who have been silenced, so their voices can come through. And I think that really is what media democracy is. To me, democracy is a society that is based on human dignity, on pluralism, where we can respect one another. And I learned something very valuable, that, when we listen to others who think like us, it's really exciting because they just prove, yeah, you're right, you rock. And I like it. I love being around people that love me and I love them back. But sometimes when we put ourselves in a place where we meet others who may have slightly different ideas, it helps us to see the world from their perspective, from a side that perhaps is not available to us, because we sort of have this vision, and we all see the world through our own bias. I always tell my audience, I am biased. I am completely biased. My show is solely focused on human dignity and, and the issue of injustice. And that's how the story will be covered. I won't be telling the story of Monsanto and how they lost profits. I care because there are people who work for Monsanto and who probably depend on that income. But I'm telling the story from the ground, from the bottom up, from those who, like me, are, felt voiceless, who felt silenced, and who needed to tell that story. And I think, in closing, I want to say that it's in every one of us. And in order to be successful, we need to be actively organizing. We need to be out there, touching and talking to as many people as we can, because having these mediums is a valuable resource. It's an important resource. We must support it. And the Real TV News, the Real News TV, it's a wonderful resource. We should all support this. They're like seeds, and they're seedlings, and they're growing, and someday they'll be oak trees. And we'll be able to sit under that shade and create, create beautiful huts. Who knows, right? The world is an oyster. It's really our oyster. We choose what kind of society we want to live. And it's in believing, we have to rekindle that romance that, human justice, the dignity, it's a reality. Like, it exists in every one of us, and it's up to us to create it. So thank you so much for offering me this venue, for speaking to you today. And if any of you are interested, my show, Latin Ways, is every Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. And I'm always looking for people who want to tell their stories. We're always looking for exciting stories that tells that narrative, that we're not just a monolithic culture. We're very diverse, very vibrant, very dynamic. And so I want to hear from you. And our Exile from Democracy show is every Thursday from 12 midnight till 10 a.m. Friday morning. So if you're a night owl, if you can't sleep, come join us.